network ready, but it'll take me a minute to switch just in case.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem, Vishal. Yeah.
Yeah, they're live.
Hi Vishal, how are you doing?
Good, very well. How about yourself?
Thank you, great. Hey Pratiksha.
Hi, Sundar. Sundar will start in the next 5 to 10 minutes. We'll just wait for a couple of audiences to join and then we'll get started. Yeah, so I think we have a few participants who have already joined, so I think we can get started. So, hello everyone, welcome to our DigiGrad webinar. I'm Pratiksha from Social Beat team. So today we'll be talking about mCanvas ads and how to wow your audiences with mobile ads. Our speaker today is Vishal Rupani, who has over 14 years of experience in search, display, and mobile advertising. He started in mCanvas in about 2015 and currently serves as the CEO there. Now, his contribution in the mobile marketing space has earned the company several awards and trust of national and international brands. He also serves as an advisor at Tripper Technologies, an IoT focused startup. Now, Vishal has earned a place in Agency Reporter's 40 under 40 list of most disruptive minds and also in Social Samosa 40 under 40 list. And there are many more such achievements under his name. So yeah, over to you, Vishal.
Hello, good evening. Thank you to DigiGrad and SocialBit team for inviting me. And thank you for the kind introduction. It's great that the audience has been able to make time during this pandemic, which is filled with webinars. Thank you for attending. And let's get right to it, which is, again, of course, the topic is how to wow your audience with mobile ads. And that's something we do at mCanvas. So at mCanvas, our primary goal is to create these wow moments on small screens. Now, before I tell you what we do, I'd like to take a minute to share what inspired us to do what we do, as that will set the context. Now, although I've been in the digital advertising space for over a decade, I came across this truth in 2015, which is people hate mobile banner ads. And that was our first clue. So we started digging deeper to understand how we got here. We asked brand managers what they wanted from mobile advertising, and we got a unanimous answer, which is back in 2015, marketers kept focusing on high CTRs as that determined success or failure for their campaigns. They didn't really care about engaging users and creating what users would like, and hence the meme that you see. Right? Now, for some more context to the problem, let's see a timeline of how banner ads on mobile evolved over the years. This is what our ads looked like in 2008 when the iPhone 3 launched. Right? Fast forward to 2020. This is what our ads look now. Right? Times have changed, so have the phones, but our ads really haven't changed. And as a result of this, we ended up with 5 fundamental problems with mobile ads, which is banner blindness is at about 86% today. Viewability is at under 27%. 60% of all ad clicks on mobile are accidental, and storytelling is virtually non-existent. Right? No wonder users hate mobile ads. You can't tell a great story by repurposing your print, TV, desktop creatives for mobile. Now, mobile as a medium is a lot more powerful than traditional media. You have to make something that's suitable for mobile and is in sync with user behavior on mobile. And that's what's really inspired us to create mCanvas. So this is where mCanvas really comes in, right? Which is what we did at mCanvas is our mobile ads and content marketing solutions make experiences interactive and memorable by etching phone features and sensors into the brand narrative. Now, we've reinvented mobile ad formats, we've blended creativity with technology, and we provide a marketplace to run these experiences at scale. Now, today we solve some of those 5 problems that I mentioned earlier. We solve those problems by fixing 2 things, which is we fix the format and we fix the creative. So today, everything that we do uses non-standard ad formats. And in terms of the creative, we create specifically for mobile. Now, let me show you through a series of real examples we've executed for brands. Okay. So we have 4 different ad formats and 1 content marketing solution. Starting with the first ad format called Scroller, where I have an example for Reebok Pure Move sports bra. Right? Now, what you will notice in the upcoming video is, unlike a standard banner ad, the ad here reveals itself from the back of the page, thus making it non-intrusive yet attention-grabbing. When users voluntarily tap on the ads, it opens into an expandable, and that's where the magic starts. Let me play the video for you. So targeting boomer audiences, we asked them to jump 5 times with their phones in their hand. With a combination of the gyroscope and the accelerometer sensors, we tracked each jump. And through creative messaging, right, in the following screen, you will see that we asked users, hey, wasn't that an uncomfortable experience? 40 years since the first sports car was invented. And then this is followed by showcasing the product benefits. Again, as you would see, the experience was very contextual and aligned to what the product does, right? Now, in the absence of mCanvas, what Reebok would do is run a standard banner ad, maybe put a video in it or a browser, but they're unable to really build an experience that users are able to comprehend with and create a memory out of. Right? Hence, we created this contextually relevant experience. Right? Moving on to my second example. Now, for Fruity, we conceptualized an augmented reality experience that would appeal to the brand's target audience, which is millennials. Now, here users were encouraged to start their front camera from within the ad and catch the mangoes that are falling on their screen. So let's see that. So we're doing real-time facial recognition. As the mangoes are falling, the user is trying to catch them by opening their mouth and aligning it with the mango. Once they're able to catch 3 mangoes, the interaction proceeds ahead, and the person's taken to a closing card where they're able to see more benefits about the product or anything that the brand would want to convey about the product offering. So this is a different example which uses the phone sensor of knowing how much battery percentage is remaining or making sure that the user is connecting the phone cable to the ad. It's something we created for Nature Valley. Let me play the video and I'll walk you through it. Right, so again, the ad is revealing itself from the back of the page. When users choose to tap, opens a full screen expandable. Here, the users are being asked to connect their phone to a charger or a power bank. As soon as you connect it, the power bar gets energized and you see Nature Valley's offering and the different product variants that they have to bring to the market. Again, without using a phone sensor, which is identifying that the phone is being charged, the brand would have simply done product benefits and that's about it, right? It may not have been able to build such high recall by actually getting users to do something while they interact with the ad. Now, here's another example. Now, it's not always about using the right sensor, right? It's also about how you can become creative with your ad. So here's something we did for Bajaj Allianz when the air quality index earlier in the year was very poor across the country. So for users in Mumbai right now, we have them see what the current air quality index is, showing them how pollution has adverse effects on them, and encouraging them to learn a little more about Bajaj Allianz's health insurance. Again, when this creative reached users in different parts of the country, they saw the respective air quality index in their location, and wherever it was pretty high, that's when the ad showed up, or the user would not see this kind of ad. It was precisely targeted where the weather conditions were poor with respect to AQI. Okay. Now, before I show you my next example, let's pause and review this meme. Now, while we've created all these innovations, often brands are afraid of executing them for the fear of failing. However, there are brands like Idea Cellular, now Vodafone Idea, of course, that took the leap of faith and executed our most challenging ad campaign ever, followed by its case study. Right? Now, Idea Cellular is a close partner to us. For them, we created the world's first video chatbot that was distributed on mobile web through an ad. And users did not have to download any kind of SDKs, apps, plugins, or anything. It was plug and play. So imagine you could be browsing your favorite website and you come across the ad, you tap on it, and you get this beautiful video chatbot ad experience. And this experience, we got users to talk to the face of the campaign, which is Malika Dua. Let's watch the campaign video.
To spread awareness of the power of live video, Idea 4G needed a concept that had never been done before in the digital mobile ad space. The biggest challenge was educating the audience to use live video as a great tool to force wrongdoers into changing their behavior, which was not possible through the regular media channels. They created a voice-enabled video chatbot that allowed the users to talk to the face of the campaign.
Hi guys, I'm Malika Dua and today I'm about to fulfill your lifelong dream of interviewing me.
The user could ask Malika anything about the power of live video or general questions that a fan would ask a celeb by simply tapping on the mic icon. The experience was designed to be seamless and resemble a live video call, with the user's own face also seen on the screen. Trending questions were prompted at the bottom of the screen, which the user could scroll through and ask. This innovation uses artificial intelligence, which listens to user questions to identify the language and combines machine learning technology to accurately assign a relevant answer.
Excuse me, are you going to ask or no?
How would you change people's behavior?
By holding them accountable for their actions. And this works both ways. तो अगर किसी ने आप पे इल्जाम लगाया है तो आपके पास भी प्रूफ होगा कि आपने ये नहीं किया और दूसरे इंसान के पास भी लाइव वीडियो में प्रूफ होगा कि इसने ये किया है या नहीं किया है. So it's pretty mutual.
A closing screen allowed the users to get Idea by clicking on the CTA and visiting the website.
So as I was saying, this was our most challenging innovation ever, which is we created the world's first video chatbot inside an ad. Now you may be wondering, what do these innovations really help achieve? Do they even move the needle for the brand? Okay. So reaching over 7.2 million users, this campaign witnessed a 2.2% click-through rate, which is about 10 times higher than the industry average of about 0.2%. More importantly, on average, users spend 22 seconds interacting with the ad and asking Malika Dua questions, with several users spending more than 10 minutes engaging with the ad. In fact, one user asked as many as 38 questions to Malika Dua. Okay. Now, most of the questions that users asked were related to campaign, but many were very basic and general questions, right? I'll highlight a few of them, which is many users, when they start the conversation, they said hi or hello to Malika Dua, and they asked questions like, are you able to? Suggested that the users thought of the experience as a real-time live video chat, and that's what the brand appreciated about this. Right? The users had a lively conversation and engaging interaction with the brand's ambassador, thus building better brand recall and better brand equity. Now, the campaign was greatly appreciated by the industry in India as well as globally, with our most prominent feature coming from adsoftheworld.com. Now, while we've covered the first one in depth, which is the first ad format in depth, we'll move a little faster with the remaining ad formats. So our second offering is the Spotlight ad format, a high impact glossy banner that increases brand visibility without being intrusive. Let's see an example that I have for Volkswagen here. As you see, as a user scrolling down through the page, this is a typical standard banner ad that Volkswagen would turn out. Now compare that with what's going to get revealed as the next ad on this page, right? So the exact same banner made glossy, full screen, but yet non-intrusive. Of course, for users who don't want to engage with it, can scroll past by. Now, our next ad format is an outstream video, which embeds video natively between editorial content. Now, here again, we used weather for Red. Again, that ad would run only when it was raining, or in this case, when a batsman would hit a 4 or a 6.
स्पीकर हिरण की तरह पिच पर दौड़ते हुए और पुलिसकर्मी उसका पीछा करते हुए बिजली की तरह बल्लेबाज को कुछ आइडिया चमका.
Again, what you may have missed.
और ये धमाकेदार छक्का, इसे कहते हैं एक तीर दो शिकार. Red Bull gave him wings.
So what you may have missed at the bottom of the video was an optional companion banner. Right? Now, what that does is it differentiates our offering, because all the sensory-rich items that I showed you before this particular video, all of that can be integrated in the companion banner, which is sitting right below the video, giving you the best of video views as well as engagement, which is a little hard to achieve if you use any of the standard advertising options out there today, including on the most popular video advertising platforms. Right. Now, moving on to the fourth offering, which is in the content marketing space. Now, having built our experience in, or rather having built our expertise in experiential mobile ads, we launched a measurable sponsored content solution called Smarticle. Now, while existing digital solutions only allow long-form text content, our solution boasts of visually appealing images, real-time content, animations, GIFs, videos, polls, coupons, and all the sensors that I showed you, including AR and VR, inside of advertorials on the web, blended with text content. The goal here is to change users' behavior from simple passive consumption to active participation with a brand's content. Let me show you that with an example of what we created for Kellogg's. So as you would have noticed, how we completely transformed a text-heavy experience into something that's visually appealing, as well as interactive and engaging for the audience, right? Let me pause at that. I believe there are audience questions. Let me take one or two, and then I'll continue with the rest of the presentation.
Sure,
Right?
Vishal. Yeah.
Super. So I see a question from Anshu. Anshu is asking, what are the basics one should keep in mind when trying mobile ads to sell an idea? Let me share my screen for a quick second. Super. So Anshu, that's a great question. What you really want to do is you want to make sure you think of the user when you're creating an ad. That's the first thing, right? You do not want to repurpose anything that the brand may have built for desktop or for print or for a billboard, right? You want to understand the user's context. You have to keep in mind the user could be at home, could be traveling. What can you do with your creative so that you're able to engage the user within the brand narrative, right? So let me take an example. Let's say it's a jewelry brand, right? Now, and it's Karwa Chauth. Now, what can a brand do on Karwa Chauth with an ad creative? Now, perhaps you can have a creative where why don't you get users to find the location of the moon with the ad itself? And you may be wondering, how is that really possible? Now, the phone, as all of us know, has a magnetometer, right? In other words, a compass. Now, what if you could activate the phone's compass and get a person to find the moon by moving the phone around, right? So imagine it's 8 p.m., it's Karwa Chauth, and you tell the person in the creative, you know the person's location, you know in which direction the moon is at that particular hour, have the person rotate the phone in that direction. When it comes in alignment, you can reveal the messaging that it's from a jewelry brand, perhaps give them an offer for buying jewelry at, let's say, 10% off or a way of making charges, something attractive that appeals to the user and encourages the user to avail of that offer. Okay? With this example, what you notice is if we had not thought about using the phone's compass, you probably would end up creating a promotion for jewelry, highlighting the features or just talking about the offer. It may have been hard for you to engage the user, right? But what we did otherwise is we thought of the user's context. We thought of what the brand's trying to do. And we married that with what a phone has to offer, which is the potential of integrating sensors and getting users to engage and interact with it. So always keep users' behavior in mind when you're thinking about creating an ad for mobile. And of course, there is no one right answer. What I always recommend our brand partners is to do a lot of A/B testing. Don't create one thing, even if it's the most creative and the most innovative idea, but your audiences may not be receptive of it, may not be appreciative of it, right? So then you want to do A/B testing and you want to try something new. So always test, test, and test. Right? Let me see if there's another question here. Okay, so there is another question. I'm not sure this is from Anshu or someone else. I'm missing the name. But the question is, how about integration with face and speech integration on mobile ads? Any insights on iBlink technology to engage with the audience? So that's a great question to the anonymous user Anshu who asked that. We've actually done some bit of work in that space, which is like you saw in my fruity example, right? We identified the user's face. Whenever it was open, we had them play the game. Similarly, we can detect when a user is, let's say, pouting or when users blinking. So there's a campaign that we recently executed for Asus laptops where inside the ad creative, we asked users to blink their eyes. And as soon as we captured that blink, we revealed the Asus laptop and its features. So all of what you described is very much possible by a face recognition, by speech recognition, understanding what users are saying in different languages, and then getting them to interact with the ad. I see another question from Pooja. Pooja's asking, what's the recommended amount of text copy in the ads? Another great question, Pooja. What I would say is keep it minimal. Remember, users have a short attention span. You do not want to burden them, and you do not expect users to read a whole lot of text today. So keep it as minimal as you can. But having said that, do play around, and going back to my previous recommendation, do a lot of A/B testing with your text too. See the context you are in. Where are you trying to grab the user's attention? What if you were to create a dedicated microsite with a sort of a long experience? Perhaps you could do with more content there. But if you're doing it in an ad, my recommendation is always to keep it as short and as crisp as possible, right? Most users don't spend a whole lot of time reading your content, especially if you're inside the ad. Right?
So I think there's another question from somebody from Instagram. So the lady is asking, what platform do we use to create, such ads using mobile sensors?
Wow, I wish I could give you a ready answer for that. There aren't many tools available today that allow you to create interactions of the length and the depth that I was able to showcase. Some of these are handcrafted by our team today. Of course, we use a little bit of internal tools, but you will find tools that are able to do some simple interactions online, which is perhaps something like scratching your screen that may be available with existing platforms and tools that you will come across on the internet. But most of the examples that I showcase today are custom built for the brand and handcrafted.
Right, Vishal. So Vishal, just I think there's another question from Nidhi. So the lady is asking that is A/B testing necessary while running a campaign on a very small budget, or do you only recommend it for campaigns with very high budget?
I think I recommend A/B testing to pretty much everyone. Now, it's relative what a low budget or a high budget campaign means in this case. Let me take a random example. If your budget is 20,000, perhaps let's say most of us are going to say that's a small budget. Now you can still do a little bit of A/B testing, right? What you want to do is you want to spend a small sum where you think you've, let's say, got significant enough number of impressions or interactions or clicks or views, and see if there is any learning from it, and then try another variation. Possibly you will get a better result. Or what you can do is from the beginning of your campaign itself, right? Set up two different variations, right? Now, one variation could be just an ad copy change, or it could be text, or it could be color change, or it could be a different CTA. So most advanced systems today let you do A/B testing right off the bat, which is put in two creatives in your system. Doesn't matter what ad campaign you're running, right? Even if it's not about a rich media ad, such as what I showcased, even if you're running simple PPC text ads or ads on any platform, put in 2 or 3 ads at the same time. Those systems will themselves optimize the ad, provided you set the right conversion goal in those platforms.
Right.
But short answer, yes, you should A/B test even if your budget is small. Right? And in fact, it's more important when your budget is small because you want to make sure you get the best ROI on whatever little budget you have.
Right, Vishal. So Vishal, I think there are a lot of other questions. Do you want to take that up in the last 15 minutes after completing the entire presentation? Do you want to go through the rest of it right away?
Sure, Pariksha. Let's come back after the presentation.
Sure, perfect.
Yeah? Allow me a second, put my screen sharing on again. So Pratiksha, one confirmation, since I switched in and out, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can, Vishal.
Okay,
yeah.
super. Great. So in terms of all the innovations that I showcased today, you have various options, which is you can today choose from over 50 mobile features and sensors that you can integrate in your ad. And this could range from, let's say, getting users to tilt your phone if you want them to play a game. You can have them shake their device. You can have them scratch. You can use more motion sensors, which is you could have people draw a circle in the air. You could have people physically walk a certain number of steps to reveal, let's say, an ad for a shoe brand. You could do more of AR and VR. You can integrate real-time APIs. Two examples I showcased were, let's say, the cricket score or weather. Something new that we've recently run over the last few days with some brands is inside the ad creative, we're showing real-time data about containment zones near users, right? So for example, let's say if you're in south of Mumbai, in a particular area, let's say Churchgate, for example, apologies for those who are not familiar with that, but let's say you're in that area, the minute you come across the ad, it will show you containment zones around you, and it'll give you further advice. For example, if it's an ad for, let's say, an immunity boosting product, it will recommend that, hey, you can buy a certain type of vitamin, for example, at a closest store near you, and it could even lead you to finding a store next to you, or it could let you order online. So all of that is built in inside the ad, right? Compare this with what the vitamin brand could have done otherwise. They would have just showcased that, hey, this is an immunity booster, right? Versus now they made it contextually relevant, educated the users, hey, the number of cases are rising around you. Why don't you get some vitamin, right? So that's another use case of a real-time API. Someone already asked the question about blink. We can get users to blink. We can enable haptic feedback, which is we can get the phone to vibrate in real time if the creative justifies the need for it. We can get people to enable the phone's camera and detect any color in real time. Let's say it's an ad campaign for something about going green. Let's say green air conditioners. You could have a person open the ad, enable the phone camera, scan any green color in their surrounding, and when you pause at a green color, it can be taken over by a green mist of cloud, and that can reveal a green electronic product such as an air conditioner, right? Or you can do something based on gender detection. Again, you can get a person to enable the phone's camera, find if the user is a male or a female, and continue an experience that is meant for that particular gender. Right? Now, again, besides integrating these phone features and sensors, it's also important that you integrate the right modern mobile-friendly call to action. Most call to actions that we see today are shop now, buy now, learn more, right? Versus what you can do is you can integrate a direct function such as call now. As soon as someone taps on it, it can go to the phone dialer and you can dial the phone. You can get someone to fill in a form right from in the ad. You can have them download a PDF manual. You can even enable users to share an ad that you've created, right? So we've often made shareable ads. So that's another possibility you want to think about in your call to action in the ad, right? Now, also, it's not only about the right creative or the right call to action. It's also important when you create these ads, you want to target the right user, right? Now, let's take an example or two. Now, the idea campaign that I showcased. Now, if idea wanted, it could only upsell the 4G offering to only idea users, which means I could have used a feature called carrier targeting, which you see on the bottom left on your screen. And I could only target idea users. Or if idea, let's say, wants to target its competitors by showcasing how its 4G technology is superior, it could only target the ad on idea's competitors by using the carrier targeting feature. Or let's say, if you created an ad specific to a brand, right? And let me share an example there, something we did for Vivo. Now, when Vivo launched their, I believe it was a V7 phone, the Vivo V7, what we did in the creative is we targeted every single device that was inferior in comparison to Vivo 7 with respect to specifications, right? So let's say Vivo V7 had a 4 megapixel camera. So we targeted all phones that had specifications of less than 4 megapixel. And then we told users, hey, this is your current phone. Why don't you upgrade to a Vivo V7? So in real time, we targeted, let's say, a competitor brand, showcased what the specs were, and then compared that with the Vivo 7 and encourage users to go and buy a Vivo V7 phone. So it's equally important to even target the right user.
Right.
And of course, and everything that that I've showcased to you can be bought using a managed option, or those who are tech savvy in the marketing advertising domain. If you're familiar with programmatic, all of this is available to be bought programmatically too. Okay. Now, that's pretty much everything that I had for you today. What may I answer for you so that we don't end up like the people in the meme that you see on your screen? Happy to take questions.
Great, awesome. So I think Sundar is here. He has collected a lot of relevant questions that have come in from the audiences. So I think Sundar, I think you can take that up. So yeah, Sundar, can you hear me?
Sorry. Pratiksha, I could take the questions directly by checking the chat window.
Sure, I think there's some network issue at his end, so we can start taking it up. So I'll just
give me a second. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, do you want me to read out all the questions to you one by one, Vishal? I think
that would be great.
That would be fine. Sure. So there's one question from Shivani Jalan. So the lady is asking, don't interactive ads require audience to enable some feature first before they can proceed on such ad? How can we target middle age group who have a smartphone but not mobile savvy?
Great question, Shivani. Now, different features, some features may require permission, some features are by default granted by the browser, right? Let's take an example or two. When I'm getting a person to, let's say, physically jump, right? That uses the phone's accelerometer and the gyroscope or motion sensors, in other words. Those don't require the user to give permission on an Android phone, right? Versus if you saw the idea creative, where it was the video chatbot experience, where a user had to enable the phone's camera as well as the microphone to chat, both of those would request permission right from within the ad, which is, it would be a simple pop-up box that would ask you, hey, this experience is requesting permission to access the microphone and camera. Do you grant it? Yes, no. So when the users grant permission, you take them ahead in the experience. Or what you also want to do is, not every user is going to grant permission. You want to be mindful of that. And you want to design an alternate experience so that they're still able to continue with the story, but not with the video and audio experience, right? So that sensor request or sensor permission is dependent on the ad creative. Also, you can make it a little more intelligent, which is you can target only those phones which have access to those sensors, right? You need not target phones that don't have access to sensors. The additional thing what you can build in is, if someone is not familiar or with how to activate it or how to make use of it, uh, this is where A/B testing comes into the picture. So early on, when we used to create some of these creatives, we would realize that not everyone's able to interact with the ad campaign. So what you do is you kind of build in secondary optional interactions as well as stencils or guiding points in the ad creative. Let me explain what I mean. Right. So when we would create some campaigns that would require user to, let's say, tilt their phone left, right. Now, instead of tilting the phone left, right, people would end up tapping the messaging which says tilt. So we enable the same functionality so that those users don't lose out on the complete messaging that the brand has to narrate, right? That is one way to do it. Second, we brought in some help text or some mouse pointers on the phone, which guides the users and shows them how to, let's say, move their phone or tilt the phone by bringing in a hand action and an icon of a phone and showing them how to tilt it. So you can always guide users to take the actions you want them to take. But yes, there is no guarantee that they will do what you want to. Hence, you plan those backup scenarios.
Right. So Vishal, there's another question from Arvind Mishra. Using the speech/voice/video would require permissions. How do you address that?
So I'm not sure if I fully comprehend the question now. How do we address that is right from within the ad, the permission is invoked, right? So you may start engaging with the ad and the ad itself will ask you, hey, do you want to give permission? And that permission is just for that temporary session that you're in. It's not a lifelong permission. So there's some tech required to invoke that permission and it's not that difficult, I'll say.
Right. Another question is that I think a couple of minutes back you did mention that you guys can target location depending on air quality. So there's a person who's asking how exactly do we do that?
Okay, so first what you want to do is you want to make sure you have access to air quality index data of the areas where you're going to run the ad. Right? Now, in the case of, I think the Bajaj Allianz campaign that I showcased, I believe it was targeted throughout the country. Now, what we did is in real time, let's say you're browsing one of my partner websites, right? When you come across the ad, but before I load the ad in real time, I know the location of the user. Let's say the person's in Delhi, where the air quality index is really poor during the month of January. In that case, I know the user's location is Delhi. Now I'm going to trigger an ad from Bajaj Allianz. And within the ad, through something called as real-time APIs, I construct the ad in real time. I show the user that you're in Delhi and your air quality index is, let's say, 183, right? Because I already had that data ready, which updates on my end in real time. I just build the creative in runtime, which is in other words known as a dynamic creative. I show the user his or her location Delhi, and I show the air quality index is, let's say, 183. Let's take another case. If at that same time, I had another user visiting the website from Mumbai, and let's say the air quality index is not bad, which is it's 25, right? Which is no cause for concern, which is your air quality is good. Now, what we would do is the minute we have a user from Mumbai, our system is checking at the back whether Mumbai qualifies as poor AQI or not. If not, we wouldn't show up the ad in Mumbai. We'd showcase another ad to the user that's eligible to see that ad. So, for example, the Mumbai user could see my ad for Bira or for Idea or another ad that I have. Right? So that's how we're able to do this.
Right, sure. So there's another question here from Shekhar Raj. So will 5G usage be offering an edge for advertisers to bring down the cost of advertising? How exactly do you think that 5G coming into the picture will impact?
I'm not sure if I can address it from a cost perspective, but it does bring in a lot more opportunities. So today, most ads that are run, right, in let's say the standard banner environment are typically 40 kilobytes or under, which is great. Some of the rich media ads have a little higher file size. And of course, all these are optimized. But let's take an example. These ads could range anywhere between 100 kilobytes to let's say about an MB or two. But today you're still limited because often many users, while they have 4G, are experiencing 3G speeds, or even when some of us have Wi-Fi, we don't have great speeds, right? And we don't want to overload a user's system by consuming so much memory. Now, as our phones evolve, phones become more powerful, and 4G gives us access to higher speeds. This will open up new possibilities. Right? Let me describe a small prototype that we built for 5G, which is now imagine this is an ad for tourism, right? And we built a prototype for this for Rajasthan tourism, where let's say a user comes across an ad for Rajasthan tourism. The user is given two options, which is one, you can experience the ad in VR by wearing a Google Cardboard or getting any VR headset you have and placing the phone inside of it, and it will start a VR experience. Or even if they choose not to do that, if they're just experiencing it without any kind of VR headset, now the user is presented with a choice which says, hey, if you want to experience the beauty of the Rajasthan's desert or experience the safari, why don't you turn 180 degrees left and walk 10 steps? So here we detect motion, walk 10 steps, and then we enable a 360-degree video of the desert in Rajasthan. Right? And the person, because of 360 video, remember it's very heavy. The person can now move around 360 degrees, experience everything that's been captured in the video. We could build in hotspots inside of that and get people to dig deeper. So now imagine a scenery where you're seeing camels far off in the desert. You choose to tap on that. It'll take you closer there. Another video seamlessly plays, which showcases someone taking a camel ride or a safari in the desert, right? Once that experience ends, tell the person, hey, why don't you turn 180 degrees on the right side, walk 10 steps. We could show him a beautiful palace in Rajasthan. And as they experience that in 360 degree as well, we can put in more hotspots so that they can explore that further. Right? Now, to build an experience like this, I definitely would need 5G data. And my ad experiences could anywhere range between 100 MB to maybe even a gigabyte. Right? And that will only run when we truly have 5G delivering us great speeds. So 5G holds a lot of potential from what we can achieve from a brand's perspective. But from a cost perspective, I think it's a little too early to tell whether it will have a major impact.
Right. So, Vishal, just one question from my end as well. So I think, since this particular ad format is it's visually very attractive and highly engaging, right? You did mention that it has a CTR of about 2.2%, which is way higher as compared to what we see on a lot of display channels, right? Now, I think as an advertiser, a lot of advertisers must be looking at this ad format, not just for the branding purposes, but also to drive some sort of performance through that, right? So what exactly is your take on that?
Right. Now, at mCanvas, our core strength lies in branding, right? Which is when a brand's objective is to get users to engage and interact with the brand narrative, that's when they typically come to someone like an mCanvas, right? Where in terms of what they're looking for, now there's different interpretation of what performance is, right? For some brands, performance is engagement. For some brands, performance is interactions. For some, it's time spent, right? For some, it's just visits on their website. For some, it could be leads. For some, it could be sales, right? For some, it could be uh, just downloading an app. So brands have all these various metrics. Now you have to leverage each platform for its strength. Now, some of what I described to you is where we are really great. There are some where we've just started making inroads and we're not still great at. Huh? Now, the first few that I described, which is time spent or engagement or interaction, we really excel at those. So when we do this with a brand, we closely sit with them, we understand what their objectives are, and then we design a creative. Right? So when a brand wants higher time spent, when they want people to spend more time, when they want to educate users, we bring in a longer narrative. When someone wants more, when someone wants downloads or leads, we shorten the user journey with respect to the creative experience and directly drive them to the point.
Right.
In addition to that, what we're also able to help brands do is retarget them, right? To lead them towards any bottom of the funnel goals that they may have, which is leads or conversion. So we're able to offer a mix of these to brands.
Got it, Vishal. So I think I'm done from my end. So I think Sundar has a couple of questions. So over to you, Sundar.
Thanks, Pratiksha. Hi, Vishal. So we have like really good, interesting questions coming from the audience as well. So one of the question is like Arvind is asking like, is Ncanvas only into ad production or media distribution as well? Because most of the ad formats has to be synced with an corporate media strategy to justify the creative. So that is what they're asking.
Super. So actually, I should have addressed this in the beginning of the presentation, but thank you for bringing up the question. So what Mcanvas does is Mcanvas offers a bespoke end-to-end solution to brands, which is we go to the brand, understand what problem they're trying to solve, which is typically answered in the form of a brief that they give us. Then we ideate the entire concept with the brand. We develop it as well as we distribute the ad on our partner sites, which is about 120 Comscore Tier 1 publishers in India, right? And include the likes of Times of India, Indian Express, Scoop Food, Jagran, Bhaskaran, whole host of sites. So all the ads run in our, if I may say, walled garden, which is we control the entire user journey end to end, right from ideation to delivery and analytics once the campaign has completed delivering. All of this is one seamless solution that we offer to brands and agencies.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vishal. And one more interesting question is like, what are the tools actually is there which can help in tracking ad analytics? For example, like even your platform, there'll be like multiple engagement, like pointers in the different ad. In an ad itself, there'll be like multiple engagement points, right? How do we know which is what working really well and or like how do we optimize for it? So is there any? How do we get that kind of a detailed information on that?
Absolutely. So there are two ways to do that. One is as a platform, we've built a lot of depth in our analytics in the ad, which is we can pretty much track everything from start to end in the ad, which is what a user has done, not done, where has he or she tapped, tilted the phone, or engaged with any sensor, right? This is one way of doing it. In addition to that, we support all third-party trackers. So many of our brands and agencies have their centralized tracking systems where they could be using services from, let's say, Google. It could be analytics, it could be DFP, it could be a seismic ad server, it could be Moat, it could be IS, it could be a Nielsen tracker. Any tracker can be integrated within an ad so that they can build analytics on their end. Now, how do you really make use of the data? It's about going deep into it and looking at the data from multiple angles, right? I'll share two examples of that. One, I'll talk from a creative perspective. There was an ad campaign that we ran promoting a movie where we took the male actor as we showcased the male actor's photo in the first part of the ad, as well as the female actor's photo in the first part of the ad, and we did A/B testing, right? When we targeted the ad, we expected that the women audience is likely to appreciate the male actor versus the female audience are likely to appreciate the male audience is likely to appreciate the female, and the female audience likely to appreciate the male actor. But when we saw the results on a creative level, for whatever reason, all audiences appreciate the female actor being in front of the ad, right? So this is a creative input that we received by looking at data on what worked well. Now, looking at a technical aspect of data. Now, when you're running a certain type of a campaign, you can delve down deep into what devices the person's engaged with or not, right? Now, let me go back to the Vivo example I showcased earlier, where we targeted phones that were inferior in specification, right, compared to the Vivo phone being advertised. Now, here, what we identified is certain brands, or rather users on certain brands, and I'm not going to name those, but let's say brand X users were responding better to the Vivo ad versus brand Y. Then what you want to do is you want to turn off your targeting from brand Y, right? Now, all the targeting options I showcased earlier, there is great data available on each of those metrics. It's about sitting, identifying, digging deeper, and choosing what you want to look at, where there is a substantial amount of significant data available for you to take action and make a decision whether to turn something on, turn something off, or scale up.
Understood. That's a really interesting way to look at multiple data points, and yeah, it's been like, even I have worked with you, and it's been like useful for us, and what lots of brands can actually use this feature to like optimize and scale really well.
Absolutely. I think my teams had a great time working with your team. I believe we've done campaigns for Tata Mutual Funds, we've done Casa Grande, and a couple more. So absolutely, we have all those learnings that your team has access to.
Yes. Also, one more small question, Vishal. Do you think, like, is there any scope for B2B brands also to explore? And not like to what extent, if at all?
Absolutely, there's definitely scope. Again, let me share that with an example or two for brands that we've done work, which is we've done campaigns for Bharat Benz as offering of their trucks. We've done campaigns for Cisco, Microsoft, again targeting B2B users, as well as for RP Goenka Group, which is RPG, right? Now, what you want to do is, because your audience is a little your B2B audience is going to be different than a B2C audience, even given the product, you want to be sensitive about the senses and features you're using, right? Now, let's say if it's an ad for Bharat Benz or even Cisco, I'm not sure if getting people to shake their phone or having them use the compass is the best idea, right? It's not a B2C product. So here you want to be mindful of what kind of audiences you're targeting and then what experience you're creating for them. For them, it's probably a nicer, glossy, cleaner, sharper, crisp experience. Being straight to the point is a lot more valuable than getting them to spend 8 and 10 minutes inside the ad creative. So you want to take a very different approach when it comes to B2B. Also, what I recommend some of our B2B partners is to take the content marketing route, which is use the Smarticle offering. Now, for example, the RP Goenka sample I mentioned, where they were just promoting what great work the brand has done over the years. They weren't really marketing a specific product, right? They had lots of videos to showcase about what the brand has achieved over the years. So all of these were laid in an interactive fashion on, let's say, a site like moneycontrol.com, which has a lot of B2B audience. So they were targeted and they were exposed to this content marketing piece, which was very simple, but yet very classy and not text heavy. So that's what I recommend to B2B marketers if they want to try their hand with something that's more richer.
Definitely, Vishal. Thank you so much for your answering this wonderful question.
Super. Happy to answer any more questions, or if I didn't do justice to any of my previous answers, I'm always reachable on Twitter, Vishal Rupani, so first name, last name. That's it. I can continue all the questions there. And if we have more time, Sundar and Pratiksha, happy to take more here.
Sure. I think, Sundar, do we have more questions? Or
No. That's all actually, Pratiksha.
Awesome. Great. So yeah, that's about it, Vishal. Really, thank you so much for this wonderful session. I think it was very, very insightful.
Great. Thank you, Pratiksha, Sundar, and the Social Beat team for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. All the best.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.